Hey everyone, this is Michael again, and welcome to the Monday Night Raw review. Monday Night Raw tonight was from the Rio Rancho Events Center in Rio Rancho, New Mexico. I think this is the first time that WWE had Monday Night Raw in New Mexico. May be wrong on that, but tonight's Monday Night Raw, I thought it was a enjoyable show. I thought it was a good show. We had Raquel Rodriguez and Roxanne Perez. They teamed up to take on Nikki Bella and Stephanie Vaquer. We had Penta in action, Mr. El Cero Miedo, and he had taken on El Grande Americano. We also had the Kabuki Warriors, Asuka and Kairi Sane. They took on Bayley and Lyra Valkyria. The World Tag Team Championship was on the line, where AJ Styles and Dragon Lee defend the titles against the Judgment Day, Finn Balor, and JD McDonough. And the main event, we had The Vision, Braun Breaker, and Bronson Reed. They took on Jey Uso and CM Punk. And we also had some returns tonight. We had Logan Paul returning. Rey Mysterio returned. Rey Mysterio has been out of action, before night one of WrestleMania. And we also had Becky Lynch return tonight. So those are what happened on Monday Night Raw tonight. Overall, the show was enjoyable. It was a good Monday Night Raw tonight. And we are on the build towards Survivor Series War Games, which is in 3 weeks. And WWE is slowly progressing, towards Survivor Series. I mean, we have no matches announced yet for Survivor Series, but that might come next week as WWE starts to get the ball going. So, but like I said, overall, Monday Night Raw, very good show it was. But anyway, let's jump right into the review. I know I haven't done a video in a week. I just wanted to take, a week off, just, relax and, give myself a chance to recuperate. I did watch Saturday night's main event on Saturday, which I thought was a very mediocre show, in my opinion. Although we did crown a new World Heavyweight Champion in CM Punk, to which he defeated Jey Uso in the main event of Saturday night's main event, which that match sucked, in my opinion. That match was absolutely horrible. CM Punk and Jey Uso had no chemistry in that match. It was just absolutely boring. I don't even want to see another Jey Uso and CM Punk one-on-one match after what we saw on Saturday night. But Monday Night Raw opened up tonight, of course, with CM Punk, the new World Heavyweight Champion. He made his way out. Big ovation from the crowd there in Rio Rancho. Punk laid the World Heavyweight Championship on the floor. He patted the title and he picked it up and he shouted, of course, "It's clobbering time." He was then, greeting the fans as he made his way down the aisleway. Very long aisleway that they had for Monday Night Raw tonight. Usually they use those long aisleways for like WrestleMania and such. So Punk got into the ring. Crowd started chanting CM Punk. Punk then got on the mic. And he asked the fans there in Rio Rancho, "Is it great to be champ on Monday Night Raw in the great state of New Mexico or what?" So Punk ended up asking the crowd how they're feeling. And He then ended up saying that there's a litany of people he needs to thank for getting him to this point. That led the crowd there to chant, "You deserve it," to Punk. Punk ended up saying that we'll cover the difference between deserving and earning it. Punk ended up thanking his very smart, intelligent, and tough as needed wife, of course, AJ Lee, which Punk ended up saying to AJ, "Thank you, babe, for always standing next to me in the bad times, so we can stand next to each other, chest puffed out, and enjoy the good times." So pretty much Punk was putting over everyone here, what he was saying. He then put over the fans. And Punk ended up saying that some call the fans the WWE Universe, but to him, they're his fans. Punk ended up saying that he doesn't get here without each and every single one of the fans. Punk then told the fans to clap for themselves because they deserve it. He ended up saying that the third person he wants to thank is Jey Uso. Punk ended up thanking Jey for the tough match and the hard fight that they put on Saturday. He ended up saying that Jey is truly a main eventer. He then ended up letting out a yeet. He ended up saying going forward, he and Jey would like to be friends, but he understands if it doesn't turn out that way. He ended up saying 2 years ago, he said he's not here to make friends, and he's here to earn money and be a champion, to which he did that. Punk ended up saying that he doesn't know how much time he has left, but SummerSlam taught him something. He ended up saying that he held the title for 3 minutes after beating Gunther, so he has to hold onto it as tightly as possible for now. Punk ended up saying that there is no snake in the grass, and that Seth Rollins is waiting in the wings to cash in his Money in the Bank briefcase. So Punk ended up asking the crowd to indulge him. So then Punk started doing Rollins' taunt, where Rollins ends up swinging the title over his head, like a helicopter blade. That's what Punk did. He was taunting Rollins with Rollins, swinging around the title. So Punk sarcastically ended up saying to Rollins, "Speedy recovery," and that if he comes back, he'll put him back on the couch. Punk then ended up saying that the World Heavyweight Championship is vindication. He ended up saying for 2 years, he walked around as a king without a crown. He ended up going to say that with the crown, there's a target on his back and front, and that there is a locker room full of badass talent. He ended up saying that if he's not who he claims to be, the best in the world, he could lose his title. Punk ended up saying that he knows there's already a line with both Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed. He wanted to say that the vision says that they're coming for his gold. Punk ended up saying that he wants to be a fighting champion for a multitude of reasons. He ended up going on to say that there's a lot of people he wants to punch in the face, like Braun Breaker, Bronson Reed, and Paul Heyman. Punk ended up saying that he wants to test himself against the best this company has to offer, including the best professional wrestlers on earth, such as AJ Styles. Punk ended up saying that Styles has earned the right to step up and get a title shot. He ended up saying someone who has 2 belts and hasn't earned for or deserved any, Dominic Mysterio. He ended up saying that he's filled under someone he wants to punch in the face. Punk then ended up mentioning that JD McDonough is an exceptional professional wrestler. Punk ended up saying that if he isn't himself on his best day, and McDonough is, he could lose the World Heavyweight Championship. He ended up saying that Finn Balor is another great competitor. Sheamus. He ended up saying that he'll be his Huckleberry. Punk then ended up saying that there's another contemporary who doesn't have much time. And that guy is John Cena. And Punk ended up saying that he will be Cena's Huckleberry. So Punk ended up saying, in the words of John Cena, if Cena wants some, he can come get some. He ended up saying that if anyone wants it, they can get in line because the champ is here. And this brought out the return of Logan Paul. So Logan Paul ended up coming out. Punk was not too happy to see Logan Paul. Punk was like, no, no, no. So Punk ended up saying that he made a mistake and spoke too soon. He ended up saying that he wants to be a fighting champion for anyone but Logan Paul. Punk ended up saying to Logan Paul that he wants nothing to do with his famous for nothing ass. Punk then ended up telling Logan Paul, oh, why don't you go to SmackDown? Ilya Dragunov is having a United States Championship Open Challenge. He ended up saying to Logan Paul, oh, that's more of your lane. So Logan Paul got into the ring. And Punk was like, no, no, no. So Logan Paul took a mic. He ended up saying that the noble CM Punk said anyone can challenge him. Logan Paul ended up saying that he has a Ferrari that no one can afford. Of course, Logan Paul got booed from the crowd there. Of course, loud boos. So Logan Paul ended up saying that Punk is a used Honda Civic with 270,000 miles. Logan Paul ended up saying that he's been in the ring with Roman Reigns, John Cena, and AJ Styles, to which he ended up saying that he beat Styles at WrestleMania. So Logan Paul was like, oh, you could all boo all you want. He was telling the crowd, oh, you could boo all you want because you're mad. He ended up saying that if anyone in this industry has earned a title shot, it's him. So the crowd loudly booed Logan Paul. And then we heard, gentlemen. Of course, it was Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman walked out, of course, with Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker. Paul Heyman ended up introducing himself. You know, he did his whole shtick saying, oh, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Paul Heyman. He ended up saying that they're about to take a walk all the way down to the ring. Paul Heyman ended up saying that he heard Punk refer to himself as a king without a crown. But Paul Heyman ended up saying that he sees a bitch without an owner. To which Paul Heyman was like, oh, I'm talking to you, Mr. YouTube, in Logan Paul. So Paul Heyman was like to Logan Paul, the front of the line goes to the man who recently beat Roman Reigns, the tribal thief, Bronson Reed. And the front of the line belongs to the future of WrestleMania in Braun Breaker. Paul Heyman ended up saying that Logan Paul isn't on the line, and that he's on the line to get on the line for the opportunity to get to the championship. So Paul Heyman ended up saying that CM Punk has been champion for 2 days, 432 days shorter than when they were champion. So Paul Heyman ended up reminding Punk that he's not the reason they lost the title. So Paul Heyman ended up saying, your move. So Paul Heyman ended up saying, you're in the wrong place at the wrong time. Get to stepping now. So Paul Heyman ended up looking all flabbergasted that Logan Paul wasn't moving. So Logan Paul ended up saying, you snooze, you lose. And that Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed are pretty slow. Logan Paul ended up saying that he was here first. And that if both Breaker and Bronson Reed wanted the spot, they should have put some pep in their step and found some hustle. So we had Bronson Reed get on the mic. He ended up saying that Paul Heyman bought everyone 2 weeks to live because they had to sit and be patient for 2 weeks right after they dropped Seth Rollins in the dirt. And that they had to be patient for weeks until a new champion was crowned. he ended up saying that Punk had his moment, but the dog isn't waiting anymore. So Braun Breaker got on the mic. He ended up saying that he's coming for what belongs to him, and that there's nothing else standing in his way except for a guy holding it to keep it warm, and a dumbass YouTuber who thinks he's tough. So Breaker told both Punk and Logan Paul to get out of his ring, or he'll whip them like a dog. So CM Punk ended up telling Logan Paul that he's either fighting with him, or he could get the hell out of his ring. Logan Paul then wagged his finger, opted not to fight with Punk. Logan Paul then got out of the ring. He walked around Bronson Reed. He then tried to get around Braun Breaker, but Breaker shoved Logan Paul down. This led to both Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed circling CM Punk. Punk started to fight Breaker and Reed off, but both Breaker and Reed end up overwhelming on Punk, beating him down. Logan Paul got back to his feet, and he walked off on Punk. Logan Paul looked back at what was happening, with CM Punk getting beaten down by Reed and Breaker. So Logan Paul teased getting into the ring, to which Logan Paul finally did. So Logan Paul ended up attacking both Reed and Breaker, but both Reed and Breaker overpowered on Logan Paul. Breaker then ended up delivering a spinebuster to Logan Paul. Bronson Reed then went up to the top. He delivered the tsunami onto Logan Paul. So this led to Punk getting into the ring, and he had a steel chair in hand. Breaker bailed out of the ring. Punk then ended up hitting Bronson Reed in his midsection with the steel chair, and he then smashed the steel chair off of Bronson Reed's back. Punk then challenged both Breaker and Reed to get back into the ring, but Paul Heyman backed both Reed and Breaker up. Punk then reached over Logan Paul, grabbed his World Heavyweight Championship, and that was how the segment ended. But overall, great segment to open up the show. You'll see Punk coming out there. Of course, big ovation from the crowd. Crowd chanting, "You deserve it," to Punk of him winning the World Heavyweight Championship. And Punk saying that he wants to be a fighting champion. And anybody that wants to face him for the championship, they could fight him. So now, you have Logan Paul wanting a shot at CM Punk for the championship, but you also have Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker. They want a shot. So, but maybe this is going to set up something as we head to Survivor Series War Games. So, we'll see what happens. Maybe a fatal four-way for the World Heavyweight Championship. We'll see. But they tease, Logan Paul, being a babyface here. But as soon as I get to the ending of the show, I'll explain, what, happened with Logan Paul. So now we have the first match of the night. Stephanie Vaquer and Nikki Bella. They have taken on the Judgment Day, Roxanne Perez and Raquel Rodriguez. This was a fun women's tag team match here. So, match started off with Roxanne Perez and Nikki Bella. Both women locked up. Perez ended up pressing Nikki Bella against the ropes. Perez ended up rolling away from Nikki Bella and put herself through the ropes. Nikki Bella ended up grabbing Roxanne Perez and hit a fireman's carry takeover, to which Perez fought up. Nikki Bella ended up twisting Roxanne's arm and pulled Roxanne down by her hair. Perez got up and started stomping on Nikki Bella's foot. Perez then twisted Nikki's arm, but Nikki ended up fighting out with a monkey flip. This led to Raquel Rodriguez tagging in. Raquel then ended up throwing Nikki Bella down. Nikki then applied a waistlock on Raquel, but Raquel ended up sending Nikki hard into the corner. She then elbowed Nikki in the head a few times. Raquel was going for a slam, but Nikki ended up sliding out and tagged in Stephanie Vaquer, the Women's World Champion. Raquel ended up quickly shoulder tackling Stephanie, and Vaquer ended up going for a head scissor move, but both her and Raquel didn't execute it good. So Raquel countered with a suplex attempt, but Vaquer ended up getting out of it. Vaquer ended up decking Raquel with a super kick. Perez then tagged in. Vaquer ended up hitting Perez with a snap suplex. She then super kicked Raquel, and Nikki came off the second rope with a flying kick, knocking Raquel out of the ring. Stephanie Vaquer was signaling to go for the Devil's Kiss on Roxanne Perez, but Raquel pulled Perez out of the ring. Both Stephanie and Nikki Bella end up coming off the apron with stereo cross body blocks to both Perez and Raquel. So then as Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, we had Raquel Rodriguez and Nikki Bella in control of the match. Raquel ended up hitting Nikki with a slingshot suplex. Perez then tagged in, ended up hitting a double jump springboard moonsault onto Nikki Bella. She ended up going for the cover, and Nikki ended up kicking out. Perez ended up clubbing Nikki down and applied neck vice. Nikki Bella ended up delivering a jawbreaker to Perez. Raquel quickly ended up tagging in and dragged Nikki away from the corner to prevent Nikki from tagging in Vaquer. Nikki ended up kicking Raquel away. She then delivered a boot to Raquel's face. Nikki then ended up hooking Raquel's head and scaled the ropes, and she delivered a tornado DDT to Raquel. So Stephanie ended up tagging in, and she had pinned Raquel with a head scissor into a roll-up, to which Raquel ended up kicking out. You had Stephanie Vaquer end up delivering the Devil's Kiss to Roxanne Perez, which we all love the Devil's Kiss. Big reaction from the crowd there when Stephanie Vaquer did the Devil's Kiss to Roxanne Perez. Yeah, Nikki Bella then tagged in, and she ended up pinning Perez with the Rack Attack 2.0. So Nikki Bella ended up going for the cover, and Raquel Rodriguez pulled Nikki off of Perez. There's one point where Vaquer ended up setting up for the Devil's Kiss on the apron to Raquel Rodriguez, but Raquel ended up countering by slamming Vaquer face first onto the ring apron. So at the end of the match, we had Perez ended up going for a roll-up on Nikki Bella, but Nikki ended up sitting on Perez's shoulders. Perez kicked out and knocked Nikki into the ropes. This led to Raquel punching Nikki in the head, to which the ref didn't see that. And Perez ended up delivering the pop rocks on Nikki. She ended up going for the cover, and there you go. Raquel Rodriguez and Roxanne Perez ended up winning the match. Overall, fun women's tag team match here. And then we had a video showcasing what was announced on Saturday night's main event, where we're going to be getting a tournament, where John Cena ended up commenting on his final opponent. And the one question Cena has been asked since he announced his retirement over a year ago is who he wants to face in his final match. So Cena ended up saying that he wants to see someone being given the same opportunity he was given in his debut match, when he debuted against Kurt Angle on SmackDown. So starting next week on Monday Night Raw from Boston, there will be a 6-man tournament, and it will commence featuring stars from Raw, SmackDown, NXT, and even those who don't work for the company, for WWE. He ended up saying that his final opponent won't be handpicked. It will be hard-earned. So Cena ended up saying that you want some, come get some. So there will be a 16-man tournament to determine who will be John Cena's final opponent. Now, I'm thinking of opponents that could be John Cena's final opponent at Saturday Night's main event next month. It could be Gunther. It could be, take a guess, AJ Styles. It could be maybe Chris Jericho. There's rumors that Chris Jericho might be returning to WWE. So those are the three that come to mind. It's either going to be Gunther, AJ Styles, or Chris Jericho. There might be some others, but who do you all think will be John Cena's final opponent? Let me know in the comments down below. But next week, the Last Time Is Now tournament, which they're calling this 60-man tournament, will take place on Monday Night Raw next week in Boston. And we saw, the referee was spin a tumbler, and Anna Pierce was there, which we were going to find out the first matchup of the tournament, which they announced later on in the night. So later on, I'm going to predict who will win those first matchups in the tournament. Then we saw CM Punk backstage. He bumped into Mr. Yeet, Jey Uso. So Jey ended up telling Punk that he saw what happened out there, and something in his heart is telling him to help Punk out. Punk then ended up asking Jey, "Can I trust you?" So Punk was like, "Am I talking to main event Jey Uso, or am I talking to Little Roman?" So Jey ended up saying to Punk, "You're talking to the main event." He ended up saying that if he were champion, the division would be coming after him, and that they're not going to stop. Jey Uso ended up telling Punk to let him help out. Jey ended up saying that he wants to body this vision problem. So Punk was like, "I'm going to go get my gear. I'm going to go get my gear on." So both guys bumped fists, and they ended up saying, "Yeet," and pretty much that was basically that. So we had Jey Uso and CM Punk taking on Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker in the main event of the show tonight. Same old match, only you add Punk in it. You have Jey Uso, Braun Breaker, Bronson Reed in the main event once again. How many times during these past months have we seen Jey Uso and the Vision, Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed in the fucking main event? Jeez. I thought we moved on from this. Oh, we gonna get a main event next week with Jey Uso and the Vision in it? Possibly. Because when I saw that, I'm like, yep, I'm tuning out of the main event tonight. Next match was Penta. He had taken on El Grande Americano. El Grande Americano was accompanied by Rio and Bravo. And this was a decent match here. Match got underway where we had El Grande Americano end up challenging Penta to tackle him. Penta started punching away at Americano and delivered a Hurricanrana. Penta then connected with a tilt-a-whirl backbreaker on Americano. Penta then ducked the clothesline from Americano, but Americano quickly slammed Penta down, and he ended up going for the cover, to which Penta kicked out. We had Americano end up blocking the boot from Penta, and he started punching Penta. Americano then started punching and stomping away at Penta in the corner. Americano then put Penta on the top rope. He started ripping at Penta's mask. Penta then ended up sliding through Americano's legs and super kicked Americano. Penta then blocked the kick from Americano, and he pinned a modified suplex, to which he ended up going for the cover, and Americano ended up kicking out. Penta ended up going to the second rope, but Americano ended up pulling him down, and Penta was going for the Penta driver, but Americano ended up getting out of that, and we had Americano ended up hitting a step-up enziguri. Penta quickly ended up dropping Americano on the apron, and he ended up going for a springboard. Then Americano started punching Penta. Both guys ended up fighting on the apron. Penta ended up going for a Mexican destroyer on the apron, but Americano gave Penta a back body drop on the apron, to which Penta landed hard on the ring apron. This led to Americano ended up hitting a baseball slide, and he then mocked the Penta strut, where Penta ends up doing that strut. We all know El Grande Americano is Ludwig Kaiser. So then, as Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, Penta had the upper hand in the match. He started taking it to El Grande Americano. He delivered a reverse sling blade. Penta ended up taking Americano down the corner, ended up hitting a handstand slingshot basement dropkick, to which he ended up going for the cover, and Americano ended up kicking out. We had El Grande Americano catching Penta with an enziguri. He pulled Penta off the ropes for a rolling Death Valley driver. He then wrenched Penta's arm and scaled the ropes, but Penta knocked Americano into the Tree of Woe. Penta then superkicked Americano. He ended up going for the cover, to which Americano ended up kicking out. So we had Bravo Americano. He ended up sweeping Penta's feet. The referee, Jessica Carr, saw Bravo do that. She ejected Bravo from ringside. So while Jessica Carr was focusing her attention on Bravo, ejecting him from ringside, we had Rio Americano end up giving El Grande Americano a metal plate to load in his mask. We all know it's a common thing where a metal plate has been given to El Grande Americano. Dominic Mysterio ended up doing that, and now Rio is doing that as well, giving a metal plate to El Grande Americano. So Penta ended up ducking a headbutt, and he ended up hitting a backstabber to Americano. Penta headed to the top rope, and this led to Rio attacking Penta. So Jessica Carr also ejected Rio from ringside, to which Penta ended up wiping Rio out with a cross body block to the floor. He took out Rio on the floor. Penta then ended up kicking Americano. Americano was attempting a flying headbutt with that metal plate in his mask, but that failed. Penta then delivered a Mexican destroyer on Americano, and he ended up going for the cover. And there you go. Penta ended up winning the match. Post-match, we had Rio and Bravo double teamed up on Penta, but Penta ended up escaping Rio and Bravo, and pretty much that was basically that. But overall, decent match this was between Penta and Americano. I really hope that we get a draft at some point, because we want to see Penta and Rey Fenix reunite and be the Lucha Brothers again. So we're glad to see that. And then we saw a video promo from the Kabuki Warriors. Kairi Sane ended up saying that there will be no more disrespect shown to Asuka. Asuka ended up saying that she is the one true legend of the women's division. And what they did last week was a small taste of what they are capable of. So we saw, they ended up taking on Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair last week in the main event of Monday Night Raw, to which, Raw last week, very mediocre show was. This show was a whole lot better than last week's show. So Asuka ended up saying that they haven't forgotten about Bayley, and out of the kindness of their hearts, they let her walk off. Asuka ended up saying that her kindness won't last forever, and that she'll do whatever it takes to prove they are the most dominant tag team in the women's division. So, of course, in the main event last week, Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss end up retaining the women's tag team championships against, the Kabuki Warriors. So then, as Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, we had Mr. Double Champion, Dominic Mysterio, Intercontinental Champion, AAA Mega Champion. He made his way down to the ring. Dominic got a mixed reaction from the crowd. Some people were cheering him, some people were booing him. He then got on the mic. He ended up telling the crowd to bow down to the king of luchadors. He ended up saying that on Saturday. He proved that he is, without a doubt, the greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time. He ended up saying that he is the greatest AAA Mega Champion of all time. He ended up saying that he is the greatest luchador of all time, and that there isn't a man on this planet who can stop him. Of course, this led to the return of Rey Mysterio, WWE Hall of Famer Rey Mysterio, Dominic's dad. Of course, we haven't seen Rey because he sustained an injury. So, Joe Tessitore on commentary, he ended up saying that Rey has been medically cleared to compete now. And Dominic was just shocked to see his father come out. So as Rey ended up getting to the ring, the fans were chanting, "Holy shit." So Rey got on the mic. He ended up saying that Dominic looks surprised. He ended up saying that Dom can say he's the greatest champion of all time, all day long. But he draws the line when he says he's king of the luchadors. Rey ended up saying that every time Dominic says that, to which he got interrupted because the crowd was doing, dirty, dirty Dom, dirty, dirty Dom. He ended up saying that every time that Dominic says that, it insults their family and their blood. So Rey was like, oh, what about El Santo? What about Blue Demon? What about Eddie Guerrero? Which that got the fans to chant Eddie. Of course, we're coming up on 20 years that Eddie Guerrero passed this month. Man, I can't believe it's been 20 years since Eddie Guerrero passed. I remember that day when the news broke out. I remember where I was. I remember I was at home and the news broke out that he passed away. And I thought that at first it was a hoax. And then I went to WWE.com and it was official. I didn't believe it until it was confirmed by WWE. So it was confirmed by WWE, and I was just shocked there at that news. And then I watched the video that they posted where it was Vince McMahon and Chavo Guerrero doing a conference, talking about, what happened, Eddie Guerrero. And then they did the whole Eddie Guerrero tribute on Monday Night Raw, which I remember watching live. They also did one on SmackDown that same week. But yeah, it was a sad week in the world of professional wrestling at that time, 20 years, almost 20 years ago this month. Eddie passed, this month, and passed away on November 13th. So, yeah, what a sad, shocking week that was in 2005. Passed away in Minneapolis. So, Ray ended up saying to Dominic, "You think he's better than them?" And Dominic was like to Ray, "Keep my father's name out of your mouth." Of course, referring to, Eddie Guerrero, when Eddie Guerrero was like to Dominic when he was a kid, when he cut that promo on SmackDown, where he goes, "Ray is not your papi. I'm your papi." So Dominic ended up saying that he's better than them, and that he's better than El Santo, Blue Demon, and Eddie Guerrero. So Dominic ended up saying that there's one luchador that he knows he's better than, and that is his father, Ray. So Ray was like, "Dominic, you can disrespect me all you want. I don't care." Ray ended up saying that he won't let Dominic disrespect Lucha Libre. Ray then took off his jacket. Dominic then ended up asking his father, "What are you going to do? You're just jealous." And he ended up telling Ray, "Oh, you're already trying to steal my mustache." So the crowd started chanting, "Whoop his ass." So they were chanting that to Ray. Dominic ended up saying that he made the Mysterio name relevant. He ended up saying not only that, he has surpassed everything that Ray has ever done. So Dominic was like, "What will I have to do? Kick your ass again?" Which I already know that that's going to happen. Yeah, we're going to get another fucking match with Ray and Dominic. I mean, how many times have we seen this? So Dominic ended up telling Ray to listen to the King of the Luchadors and get out of my ring. So Ray ended up saying, "I'll leave. But before I do, I need to understand 3 things." So he ended up telling Dominic, as long as he is around, Dominic will never be King of the Luchadors. And as long as he is around, this will never be Dominic's ring. And as long as he is around, Dominic will never be the greatest Mysterio. So Dominic then threw his mic. He ended up going for a cheap shot, but Ray blocked it. Ray then ended up punching, his son, but Dominic ended up kicking Ray in his midsection. Ray quickly ended up hitting a head scissor into the ropes. Ray then ended up hitting Dominic with the 619. Ray then headed to the top rope. Dominic then rolled out of the ring to escape. And pretty much that was basically that. But overall, great segment this was. Really enjoyed it. But not too happy that we're possibly going to be getting another Rey Mysterio and Dominic Mysterio match. I mean, we've seen this many times. What's going to be any different this time when we see the match? Because we know we're already going to get it at some point. But Rey Mysterio is probably going to have his eye on either championship that Dominic has. Eyeing the Intercontinental Championship and the AAA Mega Championship. To me, I think Rey is going to be eyeing the AAA Mega Championship. I think we'll get Rey Mysterio versus Dominic Mysterio, and the AAA Mega Championship will be on the line. So that's how the way I see it. Possibly that might happen. But overall, great segment it was. And then we saw Bayley. Bayley was pacing around backstage, and Lyra Valkyria walked up to Bayley. So both Bayley and Lyra, they didn't seem to be on the same page, with them focusing on the Kabuki Warriors, to which Bayley ended up saying that they both need to focus on them. Lyra ended up telling Bayley that she needs to know if she can count on her. Bayley ended up saying that we're good. So they ended up slapping hands, and pretty much that was basically that. So then we got the return of Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch jumped on the commentary table. She ended up saying that the man has come around and she has a lot to get off her chest. Becky ended up saying that she has been going through a lot these last few weeks. She ended up saying that she's got a hot husband who is injured at home and that the Vision have lost their minds and ruined everything. She ended up saying that she has been saddled with a crooked ref hell-bent on holding her down. She ended up saying after all that, Adam Pearce sent her home to cool down. Becky ended up saying that she's the definition of cool, and that the only cool thing to come out of New Mexico is a show about how much meth these people do. Yeah, so Becky took it to that level there. She ended up saying Maxine Dupree is not cool, but she's lucky because she got to step into the ring with her and live to tell the tale. She ended up saying that Maxine won't shut up about it, and the crowd is making her feel like she belongs, but Maxine doesn't. You know, Becky's got a point there. Maxine Dupree, she's just terrible in the ring. So Becky ended up saying that you don't survive in this business by being lucky, and you have to be good. And of course, she did a whole old shtick where she goes, "Oh, I am the best. Sports Illustrated, Bleacher Report say it." It's the same old shit that she always says. So Becky ended up saying that she is a lifelong student of the game, and that this isn't a test Maxine can cram for. She ended up saying that Maxine can train with the best, and that the next time they're in the ring, one wrong move will be the last for Maxine. So Becky was like, "Welcome to the big time." And pretty much that was basically that. This progressed absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. Becky just comes out there, "Oh, I have a hot husband who was injured at home. The Vision lost their minds, ruined everything. Oh, Maxine Dupree is not cool. Oh, I am the best. Sports Illustrated, Bleacher Report say it. Oh, I deliver the same old promo that I always do." So pretty much that was basically that. It advanced nothing. Then we had the Kabuki Warriors, Asuka and Kairi Sane. They have taken on Bayley and Lyra Valkyria. And this was a good match here. We had Lyra end up starting off the match against Asuka. Both women locked up. Lyra quickly ended up taking Asuka down. Asuka then grabbed the waist lock, and then she ended up applying a hammerlock on Lyra. Lyra twisted out of that and took Asuka down. Asuka then kipped up and slammed Lyra down. She ended up kicking Lyra in her spine a few times. Asuka then put a foot on Lyra's chest to go for the cover, but Lyra kicked out. So Lyra ended up avoiding a kick from Asuka. She ended up kicking Asuka in the midsection. Asuka ended up reversing the whip. Lyra then ended up doing a cartwheel and swept Asuka's feet. And she delivered a basement drop kick. She went to which she ended up going for the cover, and Asuka kicked out. So both Bayley and Kairi Sane ended up tagging in because Asuka didn't want to go up against Bayley. So Bayley ended up rolling Kairi Sane up, to which Kairi ended up kicking out. Bayley then reversed the whip, but Kairi Sane ended up hitting a head scissors takeover to Bayley. Kairi ended up going for a sliding forearm. Bayley countered that into a roll-up, to which Kairi kicked out. Lyra then tagged in. Bayley and Lyra ended up teaming up to take Kairi Sane down. So we had Lyra end up going for the cover, and Kairi ended up kicking out. Lyra ended up hitting a Northern Light suplex to Kairi, to which she ended up going for the cover, and Kairi kicked out. We had the Kabuki Warriors end up getting out of the ring to avoid a wrecking ball drop kick, to which Asuka ended up pulling Lyra down, ended up hitting a German suplex on the floor, which that looked nasty on Lyra. And so the Kabuki Warriors, Asuka and Kairi Sane, posed on the commentary table as Monday Night Raw went to commercial. Then as Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, Kairi was in control of the match. She had the upper hand. She ended up taking it to Lyra. Lyra ended up crushing Kairi with a sit-out powerbomb, which that looked pretty rough on Kairi. This led to Asuka and Bayley tagging in. Bayley ended up pinning a pair of clotheslines to Asuka. She ended up following the clotheslines up with a death press on Asuka. She started delivering some punches. We had Kairi Sane later on blind tagged in. Bayley kept going for Asuka at ringside, so Kairi came off the apron with a diving clothesline. Kairi ended up putting Bayley in the ring, and she ended up leaping, but Bayley moved out of the way. Kairi ended up going for a roll-up, but Bayley ended up stopping it, and she delivered Bayley to belly to Kairi, to which she ended up going for the cover, and Kairi ended up kicking out. So at the end of the match, we had Lyra end up going for a springboard on Asuka, but Asuka ended up countering that into an Asuka lock, which that led to Lyra tapping out. So there you go. The Kabuki Warriors ended up winning the match. Post-match, both the Kabuki Warriors started taunting Lyra, and then Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss, the Women's Tag Team Champions, ended up running down to make the save. The Kabuki Warriors ended up quickly getting out of the ring. Wanted nothing to do with Charlotte and Alexa. So Bayley then checked in on Lyra, and Asuka and Kairi signaled that they want the Women's Tag Team titles. So pretty much that was basically that. Overall, good Women's Tag Team match this was. Then we had Finn Balor and Jade McDonough. They were getting ready for the match against Styles and Dragon Lee for the titles. Roxanne Perez and Raquel Rodriguez end up coming in. Raquel ended up saying that she will be facing Stephanie Vaquer for the Women's World Championship next week. So Dominic ended up coming in. Dominic was upset that his deadbeat dad is back. And Dominic ended up asking where they were. Balor ended up telling Dominic, we weren't invited. So Dominic has to do this on his own. Balor ended up saying that they're going to win back their World Tag Team titles. Balor ended up giving the shillelagh to Dominic. And he told Dominic to keep the shillelagh safe. To which Dominic was all confused about that. So Raquel ended up saying that he's the reason they put the titles on the line in the first place. Roxanne Perez ended up talking to Dominic and ended up telling Dominic to be the bigger man. To which Roxanne was like, Dominic, you're the king of the luchadors. And pretty much that was basically that. Then we had the match, AJ Styles and Dragon Lee versus Finn Balor and JD McDonough for the World Tag Team Championship. And this was a good match here. Finn Balor and JD McDonough ended up blindsiding both Styles and Dragon Lee after the bell rang. McDonough ended up pinning Dragon Lee with a Busaku knee. He ended up going for the cover, to which Dragon Lee kicked out. McDonough then knocked Styles off the apron, and he ended up pinning Dragon Lee with a snapmare. Balor then ended up pinning a slingshot stomp to Dragon Lee, and he ended up tagging in McDonough, to which McDonough ended up pinning a springboard moonsault to Dragon Lee. He ended up going for the cover, and Dragon Lee kicked out. McDonough then put Dragon Lee on the top rope and tagged Balor in. Balor then started ripping away at Dragon Lee's mask, so Dragon Lee ended up elbowing Balor off. Dragon Lee then knocked McDonough back, and he ended up pinning a diving crossbody block on Balor. Balor then ended up charging at Dragon Lee, but Dragon Lee sidestepped Balor. He then ended up taking McDonough out with a Hurricanrana off the apron. Dragon Lee then shouldered Balor and ended up pinning a sunset flip, but Balor rolled through and ended up pinning a basement dropkick to Dragon Lee, to which he ended up going for the cover, and Dragon Lee ended up kicking out. He had Styles tag in, and he ended up pinning Balor with a strike combo, followed up with a sliding forearm to Balor. McDonough ended up running in, but Styles ended up pinning McDonough with a back body drop. McDonough always sells those back body drops good. So Styles ended up avalanching Balor, ended up pinning Ushigoroshi to Balor. Styles then ended up hitting both McDonough and Balor with a plancha. So then as Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, Dragon Lee and Balor ended up tagging in, and they both went at it. Dragon Lee ended up taking it to Balor, and he ended up delivering a snap German suplex to Balor. Dragon Lee ended up taking Balor down, ended up hitting a slingshot basement dropkick, to which Dragon Lee sized Balor up, but Balor ended up laying out Dragon Lee with a sling blade. You had Dominic Mysterio end up coming out there, getting involved. He ended up hitting a baseball slide to Styles. So Dominic then distracted the ref as Styles ended up rolling McDonough up. McDonough ended up pulling Styles down as Balor ended up going for the coup de grace, but Styles moved out of the way. We had Sheamus end up coming out there, where Sheamus ended up running Dominic over with a clothesline. Sheamus then kicked Dominic away. Balor then ended up hitting Styles with the shillelagh. So this led to Sheamus attacking Dominic at ringside, and he ended up hitting Dominic hard into the barricade. Dragon Lee ended up hitting Balor with a Hurricanrana out of the ring, connected with a somersault senton. So this led to Styles end up laying out McDonough with the Styles Clash, because McDonough was going for a Hurricanrana, but Styles countered that into a Styles Clash. So Styles ended up going for the cover, and there you go. AJ Styles and Dragon Lee end up winning the match, retaining the World Tag Team Championship. Overall, very good, entertaining match this was. And then we saw Stephanie Vaquer. She was leaving the arena when Nikki Bella ended up stopping her. Nikki Bella ended up apologizing to Stephanie for losing the match, and also getting Stephanie a title match against Raquel Rodriguez. Nikki ended up saying that she's rusty and making bad decisions. Nikki was wondering why she's here anymore. We all know why you're here. You're here to pay that child support. So Stephanie ended up stopping her. She kept saying that she is Nikki Bella. She kept saying that Nikki is amazing. Vaquer ended up telling Nikki to believe in herself, because she paved the way for this division. Nikki Bella then ended up wishing Vaquer luck, and that she will cheer her on next week. Pretty much that was basically that. Then we saw Jey Uso. He was warming up, and Paul Heyman walked in. Paul Heyman ended up saying that Jey always kept him guessing, and he can't figure out why Jey would team with the man who prevented him from becoming the World Heavyweight Champion 2 days ago. Jey ended up saying to Paul Heyman that he has a lot of people in his ear, but he respects Punk for beating him with no tricks. Jey ended up saying that he doesn't care what the tribal chief or Jimmy would say, and that all he cares about is what he thinks about himself. Paul Heyman ended up saying to Jey that he likes that. Paul Heyman ended up saying that he asked the Bronze to wait, but the leashes are off, and it's all-out war with the roster. So Paul Heyman ended up saying that if they don't confirm to the Vision, they get smacked at the door. Paul Heyman ended up saying that Jey has a vision all of his own. So Paul Heyman ended up wishing Jey luck, leaving Jey in some thought. So pretty much that was basically that. And then we had Adam Pearce announcing the Last Time Is Now tournament first round match. So the first round match will consist of Rusev. He'll be taking on Damian Priest. We also see Shinsuke Nakamura versus Sheamus in this tournament. And those are the two matches that we're going to be getting on Monday Night Raw next week. Rusev versus Damian Priest, Shinsuke Nakamura versus Sheamus. My predictions for both of those matches. I would have to say that Rusev will win this match against Damian Priest. Rusev desperately needs a win. I mean, he lost his shot at the Intercontinental Championship against Dominic Mysterio a few times. So Rusev needs a win. If it's Damian Priest that wins, I don't mind it. But I'm going with Rusev. Shinsuke Nakamura versus Sheamus in this. Sheamus is winning. Nakamura, he hasn't even been on TV in God knows how long. WWE has just brought him back to TV. So, my prediction, Sheamus is going to be winning this first round match. So, Adam Pearce ended up also announcing that Nick Aldis will reveal the next two matches on SmackDown. So, pretty much that's how it's going to go. So, of course, John Cena will be at Monday Night Raw next week in Boston for the final time. And it's going to be the Kabuki Warriors versus Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss for the Women's Tag Team Championship. Stephanie Vaquer also faced Raquel Rodriguez for the Women's World Championship. So that's all taking place on Monday Night Raw next week in Boston. Main event. Jey Uso and CM Punk versus Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed. Did not even care for this match because it's the same match that we've gotten for the past months. Jey Uso, Braun Breaker, Bronson Reed. All three of these guys in the main event. Only you're adding CM Punk in the mix here. Remember it was all LA Knight and Jey Uso versus Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed? Yeah, take out LA Knight, slide in CM Punk, and you got the same match. Only minus LA Knight. But this match went to a double count out or no contest, whatever you want to call it. Because all these guys were brawling on the outside. The ref called for the bell. So post-match, Jey ended up sending Braun Breaker into the ring steps. Punk ended up going for a suplex on the floor on Bronson Reed, but Reed stopped it. Jey Uso and Punk double teamed up on Bronson Reed. Punk then cleared the commentary table off as Jey knocked over that Prime Energy station that they had there next to the commentary table. Punk put Reed on the table, and all of a sudden, Braun Breaker ended up spearing Jey at ringside. Punk then attacked Breaker, so Bronson Reed ended up avalanching Punk down. Reed then ended up rolling Jey into the ring. Reed then held Jey up. Braun Breaker speared Jey down, which that looked like an awful sell by Jey Uso with that spear. So Reed headed to the top rope, and he flattened Jey with the tsunami. This led to Punk getting into the ring with a steel chair. Both Reed and Breaker end up getting out of the ring. Both Reed and Breaker end up going under the ring, and they grabbed two steel chairs. Breaker and Reed got into the ring with the chairs, but Logan Paul ended up running down. Logan Paul had brass knucks in his hand, and he stood alongside Punk. Logan Paul then ended up hitting Punk with the brass knuckles, laying out Punk. So Paul Heyman ended up looking shocked as he held Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed back. Crowd loudly booed at Logan Paul. And I'm like, this was no babyface turn for Logan Paul. Logan Paul was just pretty much, playing with Punk here. Thinking that, oh, I'm on Punk's side. No. He played Punk there. So Logan Paul ended up approaching Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman ended up saying to Logan Paul, if it hits me, kill him. So Logan Paul then held the brass knucks up in front of Paul Heyman. Logan Paul then handed the brass knucks to Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman ended up smiling, and he stared at Logan Paul. And that was how Monday Night Raw went off the air. So what does this mean? that Logan Paul is a tease if Logan Paul is joining the Vision. He handed the brass knucks to Paul Heyman. Could it signify that Logan Paul is going to be joining the Vision? We'll have to wait and see. But overall, very good, enjoyable Monday Night Raw this was tonight. And hopefully next week we get the ball going on building towards Survivor Series War Games. So, let's hope. But anyway, that's it for the Monday Night Raw review. Thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoy this review. Definitely give the video a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, and also be sure to join me on my buddy Luke Ponto's channel tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern, where we'll be doing another episode of The Movie Fanatics. So tune in to that on his channel and get the latest updates on the movie news. But anyway, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all later.